is an exclusive presentation of high school sports on Fort Wayne Sports Station, 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM. This is the High School Coaches Show. Here's your host, Justin Kenny.
Welcome in, everyone, to the Week 2 edition of the High School Football Coaches Show here on 1380 The Fan, 100.9 FM, here till 7 o'clock, talking area high school football and looking into the microscope to look over Week 2. Also, take a look back as well as what we learned in the opening week of the football season. Plenty to talk about over the next 60 minutes. We'll kick it off here in just a second. Coach Jared Sauder, Leo Lions, will join us, and we'll talk about his whirlwind 48 hours, finding out that a game is canceled, and then trying to find an opponent for tomorrow. Ended up finding Mooresville, southwest of Indianapolis, a very strong 4A team in central Indiana. They will come up and play the Lions tomorrow at 7 o'clock. 6:15, Coach Mike Brevard, Northside Legends, will join us, talk about his team's big win last week over Snyder. And they have a big one coming up tomorrow at Chambers Field against Bishop DeWenger. Bottom of the hour, Michael Mosier, Adams Central Flying Jets. His team will entertain the Eastside Blazers tomorrow in a really, really interesting non-conference showdown down in Monroe. But as we said, let's get it started right away. Talk to Coach Jared Sauder of the Leo Lions, who's on the phone with us right now. Coach, how are you?
Justin, we're doing good tonight.
Excellent. And I assume since after a 50-0 victory to kick off the season, you're in a pretty good mood.
Yeah. You know, we're in a much better mood now that we have a game for tomorrow. It was like you had said, it was a little crazy yesterday, but we were fortunate enough to find a team to play, so everybody's a little bit happier today than we were last evening.
Coach, take us through the process of finding out your game is off and then desperately trying to find a game for tomorrow night.
Yeah, well, like we said, it was crazy, but you know, you started to hear rumors, you know, things that could happen, and so we started thinking about, even before the game was canceled, kind of thinking about what could be some possible, you know, safety valves in terms of getting other games. But then when we officially heard the game was off, then you know, our administration started to really look for that game, and you know, we went to different websites and called different schools to see who had open dates. And you know, I can't say enough about our administration. Our athletic director, Dave Boyce, he worked really hard to try to find a game for us, and we were turned down several times. We had some pretty good leads. Thought they were going to work out, and then there were certain things that couldn't make them happen. So it was hard because you'd get up and think, okay, this one's going to work, and then it didn't work out. And so I think we had at least 5 teams kind of say no, but and that want to work out. But then he got a call later in the evening last night that Mooresville might be interested, and so me and their AD talked, and we were able to get something worked out for tomorrow night. We heard officially this morning, so we weren't sure even last night we were going to have this game. But like I said, we're fortunate to have it, and then we're excited to play.
And, of course, you, Leo Lions, were supposed to go to Angola tomorrow night. Angola now in quarantine for the next 2 weeks due to a positive test on DeKalb. And, of course, Angola played DeKalb last week. So, you know, the first real big impact around here, at least once the season has started with DeKalb in Angola. But, Coach, as you mentioned, Mooresville becomes official this morning. How do you approach playing a team when you really don't have any time to scout, let alone game plan?
Yeah, I mean, that makes it difficult, but you know, one of the things you got to remember is they're in the same boat as us, and when it comes down to it, you know, the kids just want to play. We were able to trade film this morning once we found out it was official, and so we were able to watch a little bit of that before we went out at practice today and try to get the kids lined up the best we could against what they do. And you know, you just tell them you got to go out and play. You know, the best that you can in terms of what you know and what we've prepared for the past 3 weeks, just, you know, in terms of our base offense and defense. And, you know, we've practiced different looks, and that might not be exactly what Mooresville did, but hopefully we've prepared the kids enough to make adjustments in game and adjustments to formations and everything. So just kind of trying to remind them of some of the basic rules that we have. And, it's going to be, we're going to have to communicate well tomorrow on both sides of the ball, because I'm sure, we only have one game tape on them, and so we'll just have to kind of adjust from there. But our kids did a good job today just kind of handling that, and we were able to show them a little bit of film on Mooresville, so had a pretty good practice with their stuff. So you just kind of do what you can and try to get the basics covered and just move on from there.
Of course, Mooresville, coached by Mike Gillen, a longtime Indiana high school football coach in his fourth year with Mooresville. Mooresville won 10 games last year, actually lost in the regional by 3 to the Evansville Memorial squad that knocked off East Noble in the 4A state championship game. So a lot of a big test for you guys tomorrow evening, and a really good one, I would say. I think you'll say, because of a non-conference game, can really see where you're at before you begin conference play a week from now.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And as we approach the game, that is one thing that's nice about it. And facing a quality program like Mooresville is it's going to be a challenge and a test, and we're going to see exactly what we need to improve on, and we'll find out how physical we are, because they're a very physical football team, big football team. They have some talent, and anytime you play a quality program like that, it's going to tell you a lot. So, we're going to learn a lot about our football team tomorrow night, and that'll definitely help us as we're going into conference play in week 3.
Coach Jared Sauder, Leo Lions, joining us here at the High School Football Coaches Show. Coach, let's take a quick look back last week, 50-0 victory over Woodland. The defense got it done, a defensive touchdown, also had a safety. Jackson Barber only had to throw twice the entire game, but was completed both of those, 4, and one was a score. Also ran for a touchdown. Carson Hepner got in on the fun. Caden Miller. Really complete game for you, even scored on special teams as well.
Yeah, we were really proud of how we played, and you were right. We scored in all 3 phases of the game, and I think that's a testament to how our kids prepared in the 3 weeks prior to that game, and they played as well as we would like to see them play in week 1. It doesn't mean that there weren't things we needed to fix, because there were plenty of those, but we're just real happy on the level of their play, and I thought we played really physical as well, and so it was a good opening start for us.
When you look at losing a guy the caliber of Peyton Wall, and we talked about a coach in the preseason trying to replace him in that offensive backfield, we saw kind of an offensive backfield by committee last week. Can we expect that long-term throughout the year?
I definitely think so.
Yeah.
We really like the guys that we have back there right now. All our sophomores or juniors, and they're just all really doing a phenomenal job for us in practice, and they did last week as well. So, yeah, I would foresee in at least the near future seeing a committee of running backs and all those guys contributing for us on Friday night.
You've only played one regular season game, but I know you played a lot of young kids, particularly on defense, a year ago. Have you seen them playing more instinctively instead of reactionary, even through just one game with the experience they got last year?
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of those guys and the experience they got, you could just tell a confidence level difference in this second year of varsity football. Understanding the schemes a little bit better, and just playing faster and more physical. And so that's been one of the nice things defensively, is because we had 6 or 7 guys on the field last year. They've just kind of hit the field running. And you definitely see a different level of play out of those younger guys.
Coach, you mentioned you've exchanged tape with Mooresville. What have you seen that you guys have to be ready for tomorrow night?
Yeah, well, there's no doubt this is a big and physical football team. They're kind of anchored by 2 offensive linemen who are Purdue commits, 2 seniors, and so they really have a solid offensive line, solid running game. They have a young quarterback, but he's pretty good. So they're a spread offense, and they just really do a nice job up front. Those two bigger kids play on defense as well. So it's really going to be a test of how we can play physically against a pretty experienced physical line for them, and an older line. I think across the board they might be seniors as well. So they got a lot of experience, and it's certainly going to be a war in the trenches tomorrow.
Coach, not taking anything away from Woodland in week one, but I have to feel like you're going to feel like you have a better read on your team after tomorrow night, considering you have the next 3 games, Norwell, New Haven, East Noble, to begin your NE8 slate.
Yeah, absolutely. It's this team coming in here being, I think they might be ranked 3rd right now in 4A, but like you said earlier, they were a very competitive team in the postseason, have a lot of kids back. And so, we're going to be able to really learn a lot about, how we play, how we coach. And it's really going to help us, I think, going into conference play next week, knowing what we need to fix and what we really need to work on. And maybe some things might surprise us, too, on our level of play in terms of, positive things that we're going to really see as well from this game, and we expect a lot of those too. So it's certainly going to be a learning experience, but it's also going to be maybe a big game feel. I know we won't have a whole lot of fans in the stands, but I think certainly two decent programs who haven't played each other. It will bring a little bit of maybe a postseason feel early on in week 2, and so we'll find out a lot about our football team tomorrow.
Coach, you mentioned limited fans in the stands. You guys start with 3 straight home games. Last week was at home. Explain the environment last Friday. Was it surreal? Did you recognize the difference in the atmosphere, or were you just too focused on the game to notice?
Well, you kind of hit it with your last comment. Once the game got started, you really didn't notice it a whole lot. And I think the players felt the same way. I heard some comments from them. Of course, it's not as loud. But I think once the game starts, they focus on the game and the task at hand, and I think the coaches and players feel that way. And you really kind of just zoned everything else out. And so I don't think it was that big of a deal during the game. Of course, the pregame atmosphere and everything like that was a little bit different. But once kickoff happened, then I think everything kind of got into a rhythm of just a regular Friday night.
Should be an exciting game out at Leo tomorrow night. Mooresville comes to town, 7 o'clock kickoff at Leo High School. Coach, appreciate it. Good luck tomorrow. We'll catch up with you.
All right. Hey, thanks, Justin.
That was Coach Jared Sauder, Leo Lions, joining us. His team scrambling over the last 48 hours to find an opponent. It was supposed to be Leo at Angola in week 2, which had a bunch intrigue in itself. But Angola quarantined for 2 weeks due to a positive coronavirus case on DeKalb, the opponent for Angola last week. So DeKalb is shelved for 3 weeks. They won't be back until week 5. Angola shelved for 2 weeks due to quarantine. So it will be Leo and Mooresville tomorrow in what should be a very, very good game between 2 state-ranked teams in Class 4A. We're going to step out, take a break, come back. Coach Mike Brevard, Northside Legends, will join us. You're listening to the Week 2 edition of the High School Football Coaches Show on 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM.
Listen up, DraftKings, the leader in one-day fantasy sports, is giving away up to $100 million in prizes to all their customers, including one lucky winner who will take home a $1 million cash prize. To claim your share, all you got to do is download the app, sign up using promo code DD, then enter DraftKings free football survivor pool. While the top prize is reserved for one lucky winner, everyone who signs up and enters DraftKings free football survivor pool will receive an instant bonus prize of at least $5 in value upon entering. Download the top-rated DraftKings dollars and instant giveaways and put yourself in the running for a $1 million cash top prize. That's code DD only at DraftKings. You got to be 21 or older. Indiana only. Other terms, conditions, and restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-9-WITH-IT.
And the hits keep coming. Following the addition of ProTech to the most impressive inventory of premium knives, Blademan's Knife Shop at the shops of Scott Road continues to bring the best in blades to Northeast Indiana, adding the brand that does not compromise. Benchmade. For over 30 years, this American-made brand has been producing world-class products for world-class customers like you. Benchmade joins ProTech and the premier lineup including Microtech, Spyderco, Hogue, Medford, Emerson knives, zero-tolerance knives, and more. Experience the form and function of real quality in person. Come in and get your knife sharpened and see what Blademan's is all about. Custom knives from around the world, tactical gear, patriotic apparel. Heck, have a cup of coffee at the shop unmarked. You won't regret experiencing Northeast Indiana's most select collection of best knife brands possible. As always, law enforcement and military discounts available. See you at Blademan. This radio spot could be yours. Ever thought about putting your business on 1380 The Fan? You can, and you'll reach listeners just like you. Our audience is made up of highly educated and affluent listeners who love sports. One email today, and you can see how 1380 The Fan could be a fit for your business. Email The Fan 1380 at federatedmedia.com to see how you can become a part of a winning team. Email The Fan 1380 at federatedmedia.com to set up your assessment of how 1380 The Fan can help your business win.
These are the sounds of a dinner that almost didn't happen. A dinner now served thanks to people like you. Due to COVID-19, 17 million more Americans may face hunger. Feeding America is helping our neighbors in need. And if you're able, you can too. Donations are being accepted at feedingamerica.org/coronavirus. Brought to you by the Ad Council and Feeding America. 200 food banks strong.
Now back to the High School Coaches Show on Fort Wayne Sports Station, 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM.
Welcome back to the Week 2 edition of the High School Football Coaches Show. I'm Justin Kenny here with John Graham producing, here till 7 o'clock talking area high school football. And we have Michael Mosier, Adams Central Flying Jets, coming up here in just a little bit. Thank you to Jared Sauder, Leo Lyons, for joining us before the break to kick off the show. One of the games that caught a lot of people off guard, maybe not necessarily the winner last Friday, but the emphatic win by this team was the Northside Legends over the Snyder Panthers, 47-17. It was the most points ever scored by Northside against Snyder ever in a series dating back to 1965. We're going to see if Northside can keep it going. They get Bishop DeWanger tomorrow at Chambers Field. Head coach of the Northside Legends is Mike Brevard on the line with us right now. Coach, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing good, sir.
I thought you'd be a lot more excited after last week, but it's a businessman's approach with another big one coming up tomorrow.
Most definitely. I think everybody is aware that Northside has the gauntlet, and our schedule definitely keeps us humble.
Coach, when you look back at last Friday, let's talk about that game too, and it was just a dominant performance by your program in all three facets. Did you expect it to go the way it did, or did it even surprise you a little bit?
I would say kind of a little of both. Out the gate, it was just kind of like we jumped on them, and that definitely surprised me. But I know these kids are hungry. They got a lot of built-up emotion inside of them. Just that, you heard Deuce say the game was personal for him, but, even bigger than that. You're talking about kids that have been in this program for 3 years, and they just finally feel like this year is the year.
And we mentioned, Coach, you had talked about in preseason, this senior group was your first group at Northside. Take us back to those guys as wide-eyed freshmen and you taking over, and how much they've grown to now.
When I took over in 2017, I kind of had a no BS policy pretty much. And, unfortunately, I had to let some guys go who were, returning starters. And, I just rocked with the young guys who listened, and I took my lumps, and I knew what I was getting myself into. And I remember doing an interview where I said, this is a 4-year plan, because from day one, it was all about building a program and building young men. And at the end of the day, the standard is the standard, and wherever you set that bar, the kids will reach you.
And definitely have been able to do that in impressive fashion this year and even previous years, going from 0 wins to 2 wins to 4 wins last year and getting off to a great start. And it started right away last Friday. Jalen Walker, the 25-yard fumble return for a touchdown on the first play from scrimmage. Then it's Deuce Taylor to Jordan Turner on your first play, offensive play of the game. So a quick starting offense for a group that eventually finished with over 450 yards of total offense.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, those guys, they're just hungry, and I think they're just excited with this new offense. And, with Dwanger, they're known for their defense. So I think it'll be a great matchup on Friday.
Deuce Taylor, he throws 5 touchdowns. He throws for 378 yards, both program records. He jumps out of the gate here in week 1 and makes a big impression for a kid that showed it last year. But as a senior now, what has Deuce Taylor shown you comparatively to his junior season?
Definitely his leadership. Everybody know the kid can, throw the ball on the rope and throw it a mile. But I think when he first transferred in, I think he was a little timid, just not trying to step on toes, where, having a year underneath his belt. And I think now he's just fully comfortable. I mean, just the team has embraced him, and, he's just fully thriving with the leadership position. We kind of consider that quarterback position to be an extension of the coaching staff, and I think he's doing a great job so far.
Coach, somebody we've talked about in the past and I think deserves attention, and he scored a touchdown last week, is Ronald Collins. I mean, he was a kid that was a starting quarterback for this program before Deuce Taylor came in. The majority of kids would say I'm transferring and finding another place to play quarterback. Ronald Collins has stuck it out. He's helped this team through the last couple years at different positions, and he's being rewarded for it.
Yes, Ronald, great kid, great attitude. Like, overall, holistically, this kid makes the program go. I mean, from him personally, from his family support, they've been great. And, last year we had to kind of drown out the media noise with all the transfer stuff and, the switch of position stuff. But it was internally, everything was going, he was on board with everything. And he kind of liked the idea of kind of showcasing his athletic ability. I think when he played quarterback, guys knew whenever we had a design quarterback run, he was deadly with his feet. So, now what we want to do is we just want him to showcase his natural God-given ability in open space.
Coach Mike Brevard, Northside Legends, joining us here on the High School Football Coaches Show. And it was a lot of excitement coming out of Friday night. How quick did you turn the page? Was it Saturday? Was it Monday when the kids came back? What was it like on your end?
At the end of the day, even though it was a big win, I think coaches all had this mentality that, when the game ends, you kind of celebrate it, but I think instantly you kind of move on to the next opponent. We already start the film sharing with Dwanger, then when you wake up, you just go right after it. So, I tell the guys, celebrate it for, 24 hours, but, let's keep it short-lived, let's remain humble, and let's continue to grind with our head down.
Coach, we asked Jared Sauder during the first segment about playing a game, and he had limited fans at Leo last week, but you had 0 fans out at Spoiler Stadium. How surreal was that?
Secretly, I kind of liked it. I think you miss the excitement, with the big plays or just the crowd noise and the momentum shifts. But, it was definitely nice just to have that quietness. And plus, even with the big plays, I think our sideline did a good job of keeping up the energy.
Yeah, and once again, no fans tomorrow night at Chambers Field. A disappointment because it definitely would have been packed out at North tomorrow night. Coach, we've talked so much about Deuce Taylor over the last 7 days, but wanted to give your defense credit that really for an offense that's in transition with Snyder, but still has some big hosses up front, really were able to command the line of scrimmage with regularity. We've talked a bit about it before, winning every single play at 11 positions, and I think for the fair amount of the game, your defense was able to do that.
Definitely. I think a lot of people kind of get caught up with our offense because we have a lot of returning starters, but we also have a lot of returning guys on defense. And this year I kind of, broke a rule where before I only allowed guys to play one side of the ball, where now I'm really trying to just maximize guys' potentials and use their strengths to cover another guy's weakness. And I'm allowing guys to kind of play on both sides. Our saying pretty much is that we'll have two-way players, not two-way starters. But at the end of the day, the ultimate goal is to contribute to a victory.
Coach, you played Bishop Dwenger twice last year. You helped open Shields Field in week 2 at Dwenger last year. It was a 36-0 loss, but a very competitive game at home at Chambers Field in the playoffs. A 35-22 win for Bishop Dwenger there. The amount of growth that your team showed between week 2 and that sectional game last year was huge. Can your kids take any confidence away from that sectional game, or have you completely turned the page from that?
We turned the page. That's all 2019. 2020 is a whole different year. I mean, just think about everything that just happened this year, from COVID to the Black Lives Matter movement to do we have a football season or not. So I think it's just really just a new year, and we're just taking everything day by day, week by week, because, number one, we don't know, when this game will be taken away from us due to, COVID numbers rising. So we just want to enjoy the moment.
Coach, you toppled one perennial SAC power last week. You get Bishop Dwenger that brings a little bit more veteran presence back comparatively to Snyder from a year ago. So what have you seen, what you guys need to be ready for tomorrow night?
I think, one thing that you definitely have when you have returning players is that, especially this season having COVID and, after having 3 months off, they, I think, hit the ground running because these guys are program kids. They're tradition rich. So I think that's why everybody is kind of challenging Northside. Can Northside be as disciplined as Dwenger? Can Northside be as sound as Dwenger? And, ultimately, I think people will be surprised.
Coach, what are the keys tomorrow night?
Northside has to play Northside football. We got to be sound. We got to be disciplined. And most importantly, we have to execute.
All right, Coach. Should be a lot of fun tomorrow. Wish it was a big crowd, but we'll have to be satisfied with 2 really good programs meeting at Chambers Field tomorrow night. Coach, appreciate it. We'll catch up to you.
Thanks again, Justin.
That's Coach Mike Brevard, Northside Legends, joining us. His team 1-0 for the first time in about 5 years, since 2015, after beating Snyder 47-17 last week. And it was the 5th straight year that Northside has led the season off with Snyder. Since that started, here are the scores. Starting in 2016, 56-0 Snyder, 59-7 Snyder, 31-8 Snyder, 51-0 Snyder last year. This year, 47-17 victory for the Northside Legends. The 30-point victory is the largest in the series for Northside since 1988. When Dale Dorfler and the then Northside Redskins beat Snyder 31-0 in that year. So a lot to be excited about with Northside, but they have to turn the page and get ready for, at least on paper, is a better, more experienced veteran football team than Snyder is, and that's the Bishop Dwenger Saints coming into Chambers Field tomorrow night. We're going to take a break. We'll come back, talk to Michael Mosier, Adams Central Flying Jets. His team takes on a very good Eastside Blazers squad tomorrow night at Monroe. We'll break it all down with Coach Mosier when we return. This is the High School Football Coaches Show on 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM.
If you experience a broken, cracked, or chipped home window in your house, don't worry. City Glass is open and ready to help you. They can either come to your home or, if you prefer, you can bring your items to City Glass for a problem-free repair. Just call them and let them know you're out front and they will come out to your vehicle and pick up your item. If you've been thinking about a customized shower door, tub enclosure, framed or frameless mirrors, now is a good time to look for what you want on Pinterest or cityglassspecialty.com to get an idea of what you want. Then, once you've decided, bring your ideas to City Glass. They can either come to your home or they can take your measurements and information over the phone, or you can email them a picture and your measurements for a quote. They will customize your shower door, tub enclosure, or mirror exactly how you want it and install it now or schedule a future installation to create the bathroom of your dreams. City Glass Specialty, 2124 South Calhoun Street, 3 blocks south of the Oyster Bar. They're open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, and Saturdays, 9 to noon. Now you can purchase your ED medications locally for less money. The Medicine Chest Pharmacy on East State in Fort Wayne has been Fort Wayne's local trusted specialty pharmacy for over 40 years. And now when you transfer your prescriptions for sildenafil or tadalafil, that's generic for Viagra and Cialis, the Medicine Chest has them available at a fraction of the cost. Easy pickup or discreet delivery available. Transfer your prescription online and refill with their mobile app. Go to MedChestRx.com now for ED medications locally for less money from the Medicine Chest Pharmacy on East State in Fort Wayne.
Our veterans risked it all to protect our freedoms. And now, as we all fight the coronavirus, vulnerable vets. Learn how you can help an isolated or sick veteran at healvets.org. Help Heal Veterans with the support of citizens like you. Creates, manufactures, and distributes therapeutic art and crafts projects for our veterans and military at no charge to them. Healvets.org. This message is furnished by Help Heal Veterans.
My friend Teddy almost set his house on fire. He used a counterfeit, a fake wall charger. He had to go to the hospital.
My BFF Chloe was riding her bike and hit a ditch. Her helmet broken too. Now she has a brain injury.
There is a cost to buying cheap. Do you want to pay the price?
Real products are tested for safety.
Go for real.
Visit ncpc.org/go4real. Brought to you by the National Crime Prevention Council and the United States Patent and Trademark Office.
New message.
Your Social Security number has been suspended. If you do not contact us, your account will be deactivated.
Scammers are aggressive when they contact a potential victim. Social Security Administration employees will never threaten you for information or promise benefits in exchange for information. In those cases, the call is fraudulent, and you should just hang up. Don't provide any personal or financial information to these thieves. Call the Social Security Fraud Hotline at 1-800-269-0271.
Here's more from the High School Coaches Show on Fort Wayne Sports Station, 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM.
Welcome back to the Week 2 edition of the High School Football Coaches Show here on 1380 The Fan, 100.9 FM. John Graham efforting Michael Mosier right now. Hope to talk to the head coach of the Flying Jets about the showdown with Eastside coming up tomorrow evening. Let's run down the Week 2 schedule right now and see what we have on tap tomorrow night in the SAC. As we talked about it with Coach Mike Brevard, the Bishop Dwenger Saints will travel to Brevard's Northside Legends, 7 o'clock kickoff out at Chambers Field. Once again, reminder here, no fans allowed in the SAC again this week. I think that will go to limited fans next week in terms of parents and guardians allowed in the gates. But elsewhere in the SAC tomorrow night, Bishop Luers and Wayne. People immediately pencil in Bishop Luers for this one. Wouldn't be surprised. I thought Wayne had a better showing than a lot of people expected against Bishop Dwenger last week. Meanwhile, Bishop Luers looked all sorts of confused and lost in taking on Carroll last week to kick off the season at Luers Field. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's a Wayne victory come tomorrow night. Snyder and Carroll. Talk about a team that wants to rebound. Snyder Panthers dropped by 30 last week. They go to the Carroll Chargers tomorrow night. You talk to coaches at every level of football, and they will tell you the biggest stretch of growth for every football team is between weeks 1 and 2. When you finally get on the football field in a competitive actual game environment, not counting scrimmages, and you can see how some of these kids react to different situations and really kind of either perform. You find out if these kids are just practice stars or actually have it for Friday nights. I can guarantee you it was a tireless and endless amount of work put in by the Snyder coaching staff for the last 7 days to get ready for Carroll. Carroll's going to be the favorite, but I expect a better showing out of the Panthers tomorrow night as opposed to what we saw last Friday at Spuller Stadium and that loss to Northside. Speaking of Spuller Stadium, that will be the site for the Southside Archers and the Northrop Bruins. Northrop 1-0 for the first time in a decade, trying to go to 2-0 for the first time since the mid-2000s, I want to say. It's been quite a long time since Northrop has started the season 2-0. In fact, it was 2006 under Coach Ernie Bodrab, where the Northrop Bruins beat Southside and Concordia to start the year 2-0. So Coach Jason Dorfler trying to get his team to 2-0. And then they have a Wayne team coming up in week 3 that's very winnable. So Northrop Bruins really in a good spot to try to get a couple wins here early in the season and really look good going into the second half. And, of course, Homestead and Concordia tomorrow night, opening up the new digs in Zollner Stadium, new turf, new scoreboard. Unfortunately, nobody will be there to enjoy it, but Homestead trying to bounce back after a loss in week 1 to Northrop, and Concordia trying to prove that defense is for real and they can be an SAC contender tomorrow night against the Spartans. Spartans. Spartans expected to be at full strength tomorrow after missing some guys last week who were in quarantine. We got a hold of Michael Mosier. He's on the line. Let's talk some 1A football with Coach Mosier of the Adams Central Flying Jets. Coach, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Pretty good, Coach. Take us back. The road game at Fremont to kick the season off, a 43-12 victory for your squad.
Well, I thought our kids did real well. We made a lot of mistakes, of course, like all first games and all first teams do. But I think overall, looking at the film, I thought we played well. I thought we did a lot of our responsibilities that we needed to get done. We tackled well, we pursued well, and we ran the ball well. So I think our guys did real well. We still got a lot to improve on. We got Eastside coming down here tomorrow, and that's going to be a big game for us. They're tough, they're good, and it's going to be a big test for us.
Coach, we talked preseason about your team, and you were trying to figure out the quarterback spot. Where do the Flying Jets sit now heading into week 2?
Well, we're going with Ryan Black because my son tore his MCL. And so he and Ryan were going at it and pretty close. And so now that injury has kind of made it cemented. And Ryan Black, as a sophomore, I thought did a super job coming in last week, doing what we needed him to do. As a sophomore, we're not asking much of him except get the snap and hand the ball off and make the passes that we want him to make. And I think he did a really good job with that, and I'm pleased with how he was able to do that. So right now it's him, and he's doing a really good job.
Coach, when we talked before the season started, you had some insightful comments about the quarterback battle, and when one of those guys in it is your son. And, we've seen other coaches at high school and college level go through this same thing, and whether you're psychoanalyzing, are you favoring your son? Are you purposely not favoring your son because you don't want to seem like a homer? I mean, the mind games that I'm sure you can play with yourself. And you said, I'm relying on my coaches to kind of be that unbiased observer.
Right, and they really were, and I thought we were at the point before his injury where they were pretty equal going into that week of the scrimmage against Central Noble, and as a dad, I was really looking forward to seeing him play and seeing what he could do, and it just unfortunately was taken away, and it's bad for a coach when you have a kid go down like that, but it's even worse as a dad. Because it's it just feels like the wind's taken out of your sails a little bit because you so want him to do well. But I feel bad for him. I know he was torn up by it and just heartbroken over that. And he had worked really hard and really had a legitimate shot, I think, at being our starting QB. But Ryan right now, Josh is very supportive of him, and the team has been very supportive of Ryan, and he's doing a really good job. And you are right. I mean, it's tough to be the dad and coach. It really is. But right now, I have to put that behind me and be the coach. And these other kids need me. I can't sit and be depressed that my son's not there, even though it is, and every dad coach would agree with me, it's tough not having him there. It is.
Sure. Coach Michael Mosier, Adams Central Flying Jets, joining us here on the High School Football Coaches Show. And whoever the quarterback was going to be for you guys, at least he had a lot of production back in that offensive backfield. Yeah. And once again, last week was big for him. A little bit about that position group, because it's really been sensational for you over the last several years.
Well, we just have been really, really blessed with some kids that just love running the ball. And we've been blessed with some linemen, that believe that's what we are. They just believe in the system that we have, and they believe in how we're implementing it. And it doesn't always go according to plan, but our guys seem to gel and mesh well. And I thought Alex Curry proved how good of and dangerous a back he is. He's got great speed, and Blake last week proved that he's a load, and he can get through that line as tough as anyone. So it's really an exciting tandem to have, and on our way back, we got two that are kind of competing against that spot, Brenton Mergler and a freshman by the name of Ryan Tester, and both those guys have looked real well, and both will see some playing time for sure.
Coach, the impressiveness of last year's 19-7 victory in the regional over South Adams really came down to your defense. So we've talked a lot about tonight about your offense, but defensively, do you feel like they've picked up where they left off?
I think so. I think our defensive coaches, John Hammond, our D coordinator, Tyler Roach, and my dad, Rod, just do an outstanding job of getting these guys prepared. They do an outstanding job of scouting. And you know, we work a lot of defense. I mean, we work probably more defense than we work offense. Now, my defensive guys will laugh at that, but there is some truth to that because the big joke is one more play. There's always one more play that we got to do. But we do believe in defense. I believe in defense. You know, defense wins championships, and I really believe that. And I think our guys did an outstanding job of, you know, we didn't panic. Fremont took the ball and they marched down and they scored and got on the scoreboard first. And our guys, you know, don't panic and figured out the speed of the game a little bit again. You know, it's hard to get that speed of the game, especially going up against the JV scout team. I think it just took them some time to really get the speed going of playing another varsity team, and then they tightened up and played real well. And I think that's kind of really the linchpin of who we are is we have some offensive threats, but we work a lot of defense, and that's really where it's at.
Coach, you know, last year, I don't think anybody knew what to expect out of Adams Central. You yourself kind of didn't know what to expect, but I felt like week 2 going to Eastside last year, getting a win, that kind of opened some people's eyes, and we didn't even know yet that Eastside was going to be a 10-win team and then win their first ever sectional championship. So I feel like, man, was that the week last year when you kind of started thinking, hey, we could have something here with a lot of these young kids?
It really was, because we knew how good Eastside was. And I did not go into that game expecting a win. I mean, we did. When we go in there, and every coach, you know, we're going to go try and win. But really, I wanted to keep it close. That's what I really thought. I knew Eastside was better than us, and yet these guys just proved to me that they can play. And I think it really was that game that said an awful lot about our senior leadership. That said, whoa. These guys beat Eastside at Eastside. That's something that doesn't happen very often at all. I mean, I can count on one hand how many times we've been able to do that. So it's rare, and those guys really did. And I think it set the tone for who we are, and we're looking for the same thing, you know, this year. I still think we're young and inexperienced in areas, and we're still learning. I'm still waiting for, you know, a moment that these guys can prove that. I can believe in them a little bit, and we'll see if we can get there. I'm not sure when that is. We're taking one game at a time, but I'm hoping to see that again this week.
Coach, let's talk a little bit more in depth on Eastside. And they bring a lot back from last year's 10-win team.
Yeah.
Laban Davis is back. Lane Kleckner is underrated. Wade Miller is very good on the perimeter. They have a lot of weapons, and Coach Todd Mason bringing those guys into Monroe tomorrow night.
Yeah.
What have you seen that you guys have to be ready for?
Well, we got to be ready for their toughness for sure. They're fast, they're quick offensively, and their linemen. I'm telling you, their linemen just get after it. So we have to really step it up defensively if we're gonna stop them. If we can't, they're going to pick us apart and they're going to brute us. You know, they're going to just power that ball and finesse us all the way down the field. And so it is a challenge. You know, we have so much respect for Eastside, and we have a lot of respect for. I have a lot of respect for Todd and what he's able to do, and they likewise. So I think this is a great game. Two kind of equal programs in a lot of ways. We stress the physical, we stress defense, and it's going to be a huge challenge. Their defense is always just attacking. They do a really good job of stopping our run game, so we have to be able to be ready to do other things if we need to, and I'm not sure if we can do other things. So that's the big challenge. It's going to be an exciting game. We're not going to have too many fans here, so people are going to have to really pay attention to the witness media and see how that goes, because it's going to be a good game. I really believe that.
Yeah, Coach, you kind of hit on my next point. You know, limited fans there, and we know just how crazy it can get at Monroe, especially for a game of this magnitude. So how does the atmosphere or lack thereof impact a team going into a game like this? Or is it something like, you know, I don't really know until it happens?
It's going to be a factor. I think it will. You know, last week at Fremont, they didn't have as many tighter of restrictions, and so a lot of our fans and their fans were there, and it didn't seem anything different to me. It still seemed like a varsity game. This one is going to seem very different, where they're not going to have any fans, and we're only going to have, maybe 30, 40 people, and it's just seniors and their parents. So experience for our kids and for Eastside. And so it's going to be interesting to see what team can handle that and what team can just find the energy within themselves. That's what I told the kids. They just got to find some type of energy off our sidelines, off our players, to be able to not let the deadness, of the atmosphere take you down. It'll be a challenge. I'm sure it will.
Coach, what's it come down to tomorrow night?
Possessions, I think. I do think possessions. I think the other thing would be mistakes, turnovers. I think it's going to be that tight that I think field position, possession, holding the ball. We want to drain that clock as much as we can. Hold on to that ball. I think the team can win that possession. Team that can make the less amount of mistakes and turnovers is going to win the ball game.
Coach, before we let you go, wanted to ask you this question. We've already seen coronavirus and the quarantine hit earlier this week. DeKalb, Angola. Homestead was missing some kids. Take, for example, Homestead missing a lot of their linebackers last week, but they can kind of handle it being a 6A school. But you look at Adams Central, you look at South Adams, you look at Cherubusco, where you're dressing 40 kids. You lose 5 kids, you may not be able to go out and compete. So, man, how stressful is that? And for the margin for error to be so thin for schools like Adams Central?
It is very stressful. It has been the most stressful season as a coach I have had, and the issue is you can't do anything about it. I mean, you are at the mercy of whatever happens, and every day we count our blessings. Every day we take attendance and we make sure that everybody is here and make sure that those that are not are healthy, and just kind of, pray and cross our fingers that we'll be able to go, because our goal from day one when we started in July is let's get through this season. No matter what happens, let's play every game that we can, and let's get through it. And that's kind of our goal, and we hope we still can, because there's a lot that can't. So it really is a challenge. It's a physical challenge. It's a mental challenge, and we're really, as a coaching staff, trying to take one game, one day, one game at a time, and that's all we can do. And I think if you can do that, you kind of alleviate stress, because there's absolutely nothing you can do about the future.
Absolutely. Coach, I appreciate the time. Thanks a lot. Good luck tomorrow night.
Yep.
Should be a fun one.
Yep, thank you. It will be. Thank you.
That was Coach Michael Mosier, Adams Central Flying Jets, joining us. His team 1-0 after a 43-12 win over Fremont. The home opener tomorrow night with limited fans in attendance against Eastside. And Todd Mason's Eastside team brings back arguably the most production from a year ago. Eastside won 10 games last season. They won their first ever sectional championship. They beat Bishop Luers in the sectional semis. They really competed with Eastbrook, at least for the first quarter and a half in the regional before losing. But Eastbrook is a traditional power in Central Indiana in 2A, and it was a new experience for Eastside for sure. But if you're looking for a team that could maybe be a sneaky pick to get deep in the postseason, if we get that far this year, definitely the Eastside Blazers. But they face their first test of the year tomorrow night at Monroe, and we'll see just where Adams Central is as well. Do they have the firepower to compete with an Eastside? And that is merely a primer for later in the year against South Adams. We're going to take a break. We'll come back, and we'll break down the rest of the Week 2 schedule when we come back. You're listening to the High School Football Coaches Show on 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM.
Major League Baseball is here. PointsBet is ready to go yard with $10 for every homer hit. Why? Well, we figured home runs are pretty cool, but why not make them epic? So now when a ball goes yard, $10 in free bets goes in your pocket. Ball breaks a windshield in a parking lot? You guessed it. $10 in free bets goes in your account. The more balls sent deep, that's right, the more free bets you get. So batter up and get ready to let it fly. $10 in free bets every home run your team hits. Download the PointsBet app today. Use promo code Indiana. PointsBet. Stay sharp. PointsBet is a proud partner with the Hollywood Casino Lawrenceburg, Indiana. Must be present in Indiana. Must be 21 or older. Additional terms and conditions apply. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-9-WITH-IT. World Baseball Academy is hosting the 2020 Dinner on the Diamond Picnic at the Plate fundraising event, hosted at the Ash Center, right on one of the newly turfed baseball diamonds. Mark your calendar for Saturday, September 12th from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. and bring your chairs and blankets. You'll enjoy a live band, great food and drinks, a silent and live auction with a lively WBA message, picnic style, right on the diamond. If you've been wanting a safe outdoor event with live music, great food, and fun for all, get your tickets now for World Baseball Academy's Dinner on the Diamond Picnic at the Plate, coming up Saturday evening, September 12th from 6 to 9 p.m. This is a community event to support the mentoring of at-risk youth. It's Dinner on the Diamond at the Ash Center, outdoors on one of the new turf fields, with tickets and information available right now at worldbaseballacademy.com. That's worldbaseballacademy.com. Hurry, tickets are limited and going fast. Get yours before they're gone and join the fun September 12th.
Many employees unable to work because of COVID-19 related reasons may be able to take up to 2 weeks of paid sick leave and up to 10 more weeks of paid leave to care for their children whose schools or places of care have closed or whose daycare providers are unavailable. To find out if you qualify, visit dol.gov/FFCRA or call a trained professional at 866-4US-WAGE. This message is sponsored by the U.S. Department of Labor.
You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811.
1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM. Follow us on Twitter now at 1380 The Fan. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us everywhere and listen live at 1380thefan.com. Fort Wayne Sports Station. Now back to the High School Coaches Show on Fort Wayne Sports Station. 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM.
Welcome back for the final time here in the Week 2 edition of the High School Football Coaches Show. I am Justin Kenny. He is John Graham, working the buttons and dials as producer. Here for just a couple more minutes before we give way back to national programming. And we broke down a little bit of the SAC Week 2 schedule a bit ago before Coach Michael Mosier joined us. Let's take a look at the Northeast 8 Week 2. Columbia City, a team that took care of business against Churubusco last week, 38-0, as they opened their new digs at the new Columbia City High School. They travel to Central Noble for a 7 o'clock kickoff. Central Noble, under first-year coach Hayden Kilgore, the youngest coach in the state of Indiana at the high school football level. That team went to West Noble last week and got a win over the rival 27-14. So no easy task tomorrow night for Columbia City as they go to Central Noble. East Noble will play Northwood. And you know, Coach Luke Amstutz has never shied away from a challenge, particularly in the non-conference. Last year's non-conference were Plymouth and Mishawaka. They prepared them for a run to state. The year before, Plymouth and Warsaw. Year before that, also Plymouth and Warsaw. In 2016, Indianapolis Cathedral came to Kendallville to kick off the season. Cathedral was supposed to play Cincinnati Moeller that week, and it didn't happen. Moeller is one of the top programs in the country, and instead of playing Cincinnati Moeller, Luke Amstutz reaches out to Cathedral and says, hey, why don't you come to our place, and played that game. It was crazy. So last week, East Noble plays Plymouth. They win 31-0. They go to Northwood this week, another 4A contender that East Noble may have to deal with in the regional. They go to Huntington North next week, an improved Viking squad, and then they've added Penn for week 4 to replace DeKalb. Now, as we said, DeKalb out for 3 weeks, so East Noble had a open date that's September 11th. They've added 6A Penn. The Kingsmen will come to Kendallville in week 4, September 11th. So make no mistake, East Noble and Luke Amstutz, he will take his team to play whoever, whenever, wherever. And tomorrow is a big challenge as the Knights hit the road to take on the Panthers. And Coach Nate Andrews' squad has been a consistent 4A contender. Kind of took a step back last year, but went undefeated in the regular season in 2018. They beat East Noble and Kendallville 46-35 in the playoffs in 2018. So there's no doubt that tomorrow is a challenge for East Noble and doesn't get any better after that. That's for sure. Elsewhere in the Northeast State coming up tomorrow night, you'll have Heritage at Norwell as the Knights look to go 2-0. Huntington North, an improved squad, as I said, they go to Jay County. Mississinawa is at New Haven, and we mentioned the aforementioned Mooresville and Leo coming up. We talked to Jared Sauder to begin the show about that game. The Allen County Athletic Conference tomorrow night, Bluffton at Manchester. We talked about Eastside at Adams Central. Also South Adams at Cass. That's an addition for South Adams. Lewis Cass, traditionally a very good team in 2A in Central Indiana. They got torched 44-0 last week against Pioneer. So with a new coach in Clayton Mannering with Lewis Cass, could it be a rebuilding season for the Kings? South Adams heads there tomorrow to take them on. And also Woodland goes to South Bend Adams tomorrow night. Of course, in South Bend Adams, in all of South Bend, no fans for the entirety of the season. If I remember correctly, Adams beat South Bend Washington 33-0 last week, so they're 1-0. And of course, in the Northeast Corner Conference, looking at the NECC Week 2, we mentioned Central Noble West, mentioned Eastside, Fremont's at Prairie Heights, Lakeland and Cherubusco, Osceola Grace at Fairfield, and West Noble at Wawasee. So plenty of football coming up tomorrow night. Yes, some teams are off. Belmont's off, DeKalb's off, Angola's off, but still a lot to see in and around Northeast Indiana. That's going to do it for us. Thanks to John Graham producing. Thanks to Jared Sauder, Leo Lyons, Mike Brevard, Northside Legends, and Michael Mosier, Adams Central Flying Jets. We'll be back this same time next Thursday to put a wrap on Week 2 and look ahead to Week 3. For John Graham, I'm Justin Kinney. This has been the High School Football Coaches Show on 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM.
Thanks for listening to this exclusive presentation of 1380 The Fan, the high school coaches show with Justin Kenny on Fort Wayne Sports Station, 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM. Download the podcast at 1380thefan.com or wherever you get podcasts.
Podcasts by Federated Media. Podcasts by Federated Media.